The council chamber was massive. It floated in space above a neutral world, held in place by technology that humans still did not fully understand. Inside, representatives from 40 different species sat in their designated seats. The air was filtered to accommodate everyone, though it smelled strange to Ambassador Lee Gina. She stood at the center of the circular room, alone, waiting for permission to speak. Overseer Marith finally acknowledged her presence. The tall, gray-skinned alien looked down at her from his elevated platform. "The human wishes to address the council. Proceed." Gina took a breath and activated the holographic display. 3 star systems appeared in the air above her. The Earth government formally requests permission to establish colonies in these systems. They are unclaimed and located within acceptable distance from our home world. We have the resources and population ready to begin settlement within 6 months. Silence filled the chamber. Then someone laughed. The sound echoed off the walls. High Commander Thex of the Velkar Dominion stood from his seat. His reptilian features twisted into what Gina recognized as a sneer. Colonies? The humans want colonies? More laughter followed from other council members. Thex walked down to the chamber floor. His scales caught the light shimmering green and gold. He was easily twice Gina's height. "Let me show the council something." He gestured and new images appeared. Human spacecraft filled the air. They were bulky and angular, built from steel and ceramic. "These are human ships. Look at them. Crude metal boxes with primitive chemical thrusters. They discovered faster-than-light travel by accident, and now they think they deserve territory?" Gina kept her face neutral, though anger burned in her chest. She had heard this speech before in different forms. The council saw humanity as children playing with tools they did not understand. "Humans have no real military," Thex continued, circling around her like a predator. "No energy shields. No plasma weapons. No particle beams. When we first met them, they were firing solid metal projectiles at each other. Bullets." He said the word like it was a joke. "They are primitives who got lucky. The council showed mercy by allowing them to exist in our space. They should be grateful, not demanding more." Overseer Marith nodded slowly. "The High Commander makes valid points. Humans are new to galactic society, perhaps too new for the responsibilities of colonization." Gina finally spoke. Her voice was calm and clear. "We are new, yes, but we learn quickly. We have proven our ability to adapt and survive. Denying us the right to expand will not change that." Thex stepped closer to her. His breath smelled like sulfur. "Is that a threat, human?" "It is a fact," Gina replied without moving. "Then here is another fact," Thex said loudly, addressing the entire council now. "If I discover any unauthorized human colonies in those systems or anywhere else, I will personally cleanse them. My fleet will turn those worlds to ash. The Velkar Dominion does not tolerate primitives who ignore our laws." Several council members voiced agreement. Others remained silent, but none defended Earth. Overseer Marith called for a vote. The result was swift and predictable. Earth's request was denied. Gina was dismissed from the chamber. She walked through the station's long corridors alone. Her hands shook slightly, but not from fear. She was tired of this. Tired of being treated like a child. Tired of watching other species look down at humanity with contempt. She reached her ship and sealed the door behind her. Only then did she allow herself to hit the wall in frustration. The journey back to Earth took 3 days. Gina spent most of that time writing her report and trying to think of new strategies. Nothing worked. The council would not listen to words. They only respected power, and humanity appeared weak in their eyes. When she landed at Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral Choi Minho was waiting for her. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes, but his posture was straight and strong. "I watched the broadcast," he said. Thex was particularly insulting this time. "He threatened to destroy our colonies," Gina replied. "Not that we have any yet." Minho smiled slightly. "Walk with me." They left the landing bay and entered a secure elevator. Minho placed his hand on a scanner, and the elevator descended deeper than Gina had ever gone before. "You have been fighting an impossible battle up there," Minho said. "The council will not respect us until we prove ourselves worthy of respect. Words will not accomplish that." "Then what will?" Gina asked. The elevator doors opened. They stepped into a control room filled with monitors and technicians. Through a large window, Gina could see a massive hangar bay. It was completely empty. "I do not understand," she said. What am I looking at? The future, Minho replied. He gestured to one of the technicians. Bring Captain Taiyang here. A few minutes later, a young man in a military uniform entered the control room. He had sharp eyes and an easy confidence about him. He saluted Minho and then noticed Gina. Ambassador, it is an honor. Captain Han Taiyang commands our most important asset, Minho explained. Though you cannot see it right now. Taiyang smiled. Would you like to meet her? He pressed a button on his wrist device. At first, nothing happened. Then the air in the hangar bay seemed to shimmer. Reality bent and twisted. Slowly, an enormous shape began to materialize. It was a ship, but unlike any human vessel Gina had ever seen. It was sleek and dark, covered in strange angular panels. It was nearly 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that looked both familiar and alien. The ship hung in the hangar like a ghost becoming solid. This is the Silent Thunder, Taiyang said quietly. She has been watching over Earth for 6 months. Completely invisible. Our sensors cannot detect her. Council sensors definitely cannot. Gina stared at the massive dreadnought. Her mind raced with questions. How is this possible? A woman approached from another part of the control room. She was young, wearing a scientist's coat and holding a data tablet.
My name is Dr. Kang Bora, she said.
I designed the invisibility field. It bends light and sensor waves around the ship. As long as the reactors run, she cannot be found. The Council thinks we are primitive, Minho said. He stood beside Gina, looking out at the Silent Thunder. They think we have no real military power. They are wrong. We have been building this ship and others like it in secret for 3 years. The Council wanted us to stay weak. Instead, we became invisible. Gina felt something new rising in her chest. It was not anger anymore. It was hope. What do you plan to do with this ship? Minho turned to face her. High Commander Thex threatened to attack our colonies. Our intelligence indicates the Velkar are gathering a fleet near the frontier. They plan to strike New Jeju within the week. The colony there has no real defenses. Thex thinks he can destroy it without consequences. And you plan to stop him, Gina said. We plan to teach the Council a lesson, Minho replied. Captain Taiyang and the Silent Thunder will travel to Velkar space. If they attack our people, we will respond. The galaxy will see that humanity is not primitive. We are just patient. Taiyang pressed his wrist device again. The Silent Thunder began to fade from view, disappearing like morning mist. Within seconds, the hangar bay looked empty again. She is still there, he said. Just waiting. Gina looked at the empty space where the ship had been. For the first time in months, she smiled. When do you leave? Tonight, Taiyang replied. The Council called us primitive. It is time to show them what primitives can do. 3 years earlier, Dr. Kang Bora had walked into Admiral Minho's office carrying a data chip and an impossible idea. She was young then, fresh from university, with theories that established scientists called fantasy. But Minho listened to everyone, especially the ones with crazy ideas. Light bends around gravity, Bora had explained, projecting equations into the air. We know this. Einstein proved it centuries ago. But what if we could create artificial gravity wells in specific patterns? Not strong enough to crush matter, just enough to redirect photons and electromagnetic radiation, make them flow around an object instead of bouncing off it. Minho had studied the math. He did not understand all of it, but he understood enough. You are talking about invisibility. Complete invisibility, Bora confirmed. Not just from human eyes. From every sensor, every scanner, every detection method we know about. The object would still exist, still have mass, but it would be invisible to the universe. How much power would this require? A lot, Bora admitted. More than a small ship could generate. But a large vessel with multiple reactors could sustain the field indefinitely. Minho had made his decision in that moment. You have unlimited funding and complete secrecy. Build me a ship that the galaxy cannot see. Back in the present, Captain Taiyang stood on the bridge of that impossible ship. The Silent Thunder hummed quietly around him. Every surface was covered in dark metal that seemed to absorb light. The bridge crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this mission for months. Commander Yoon Daeho stood beside Taiyang reviewing tactical displays. Daeho was older, a veteran of Earth's brief conflicts with pirates and rogue colonies. His face was weathered and serious. All systems are green. The invisibility field is at full power. We are ready to depart. Take us out, Taiyang ordered. The silent thunder lifted off from the hidden hangar bay on the dark side of Earth's moon. No one saw it leave. The ship's engines produced almost no heat signature, and the invisibility field masked even that. They accelerated smoothly, passing through Earth's defensive perimeter without triggering a single alarm. Lieutenant Park Soo-jin monitored her weapons console with intense focus. She was the youngest bridge officer, barely 25, but her scores in tactical simulation had been perfect. "All weapon systems are armed and ready," she reported. "Railguns, missile batteries, and the experimental plasma cannons are online." Dr. Bora sat at her own station, watching the field generators. "Invisibility field is stable. Power consumption is within expected parameters. We are completely undetectable." The silent thunder entered the commercial shipping lanes that connected human space to the rest of the galaxy. Other ships passed within kilometers. Massive cargo haulers, sleek council patrol vessels, even a Velkar destroyer. None of them noticed the human dreadnought sliding past them like a ghost. "It still feels strange," Daeho commented, "passing this close to other ships without them knowing we are here." "It is our advantage," Taeyang replied. "The Council thinks they know everything about human military capability. They have scanned our public fleet dozens of times, but they have never seen this." The journey to Velkar space took 5 days. The silent thunder traveled along established routes, gathering intelligence as it went. Bora continuously refined the invisibility field, making tiny adjustments to keep it perfect. Soo-jin ran combat drills with the weapons crews. Daeho planned attack scenarios for every possible situation. Taeyang spent his time watching and learning. He studied every alien ship they encountered. He noted their patrol patterns, their formation tactics, their scanning procedures. The Council species had grown comfortable. They had been the dominant powers for so long that they had become predictable. That would be their weakness. On the 5th day, they reached the edge of Velkar territory. The space here was heavily monitored. Detection buoys floated in a grid pattern, watching for any unauthorized vessels. Patrol ships moved in constant rotation. Getting past this border had been considered impossible for human ships. The silent thunder passed through without slowing down. The detection buoys scanned the empty space where the ship was located and found nothing. The patrol ships continued their routes, unaware that an enemy dreadnought had just invaded their territory. "We are inside," Daeho confirmed. "No alarms. They have no idea we are here." "Take us deeper," Taeyang ordered. "We need to find their fleet." They traveled for another day, moving carefully through Velkar space. They passed military installations and shipyards. They saw dozens of Velkar warships, each one large and powerful. The Velkar Dominion had built its reputation on overwhelming force. Their ships were designed to intimidate and destroy, but they were not designed to fight an enemy they could not see. "Contact," Soo-jin announced suddenly. "Multiple ships ahead. Configuration matches Velkar battle fleet." Taeyang moved to the tactical display. 60 Velkar warships hung in space, arranged in a standard attack formation. Troop transports and supply vessels filled the center of the formation. "Where are they positioned?" Daeho magnified the display. "Near the frontier. Exactly where our intelligence said they would be." Bora pulled up a star chart. Her face went pale. "That is the new Jeju system, the human colony." "They are preparing to attack," Taeyang said quietly. "The pieces fit together perfectly. High Commander Thex had threatened to destroy unauthorized human colonies. He was about to make good on that threat. "Should we warn the colony?" Soo-jin asked. "There is no time," Daeho replied. "Communications would take hours to reach them, and the Velkar could attack at any moment." Taeyang studied the enemy fleet. 60 ships. The silent thunder was powerful, but could it face those odds? He thought about the colonists on New Jeju, families, children, people who had traveled to the frontier to build a new life. They had no real defenses. 3 small platforms and a handful of patrol boats. Against a Velkar fleet, they would last minutes. "Send a tight beam message to Earth Defense," Taeyang ordered. "Inform Admiral Minho of the situation. Request permission to engage." The message was sent. They waited. Every minute felt like an hour. The Velkar fleet began to move, slowly advancing toward the new Jeju system. They were taking their time, confident in their power. Finally, a response came back from Earth. Minho's message was brief. "You have full authority to act. Defend our people. Show them what humans can do." Taeyang read the message twice. Then he looked at his crew. Daeho was ready, his hands steady on the tactical controls. Sujin was eager, her eyes bright with determination. Bora was nervous but confident in her technology. They were all waiting for his decision. "Battle stations," Taeyang ordered. "We are going to war." Alarms sounded throughout the ship. Crew members raced to their positions. The Silent Thunder's massive engines came to full power, still invisible, still silent. The ship moved toward the Velkar fleet like a predator stalking prey. "All weapons charged and ready," Sujin reported. "Invisibility field holding at maximum strength." Bora confirmed. "We are in position," Deho said. Taeyang sat in the captain's chair. He thought about Ambassador Gina standing alone in the council chamber. He thought about Thex's threats and laughter. He thought about every time the council had called humans primitive. "When we decloak," he said calmly, "make sure they see us clearly. I want them to know exactly who is about to ruin their day." The Silent Thunder moved into position directly above the Velkar flagship. The enemy had no idea death was hovering over them. Taeyang watched the tactical display. The Velkar fleet was moving into attack formation. In a few minutes they would reach firing range of New Jeju. "Sir," Sujin said quietly, "they are charging weapons." "Then we are out of time," Taeyang replied. He pressed the communication button. "All hands, this is the captain. We are about to show the galaxy that humanity is not primitive. We are not weak. We are invisible and we are everywhere. Fire on my command." He took one last breath. Then he gave the order that would change everything. "Decloak. Open fire." High Commander Thex stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominance. He felt satisfaction as he watched his fleet move into position. 60 warships under his command, all prepared to deliver justice to the arrogant humans. The council had been too soft. It was time for action. "Status of the human colony?" he demanded. 3 defense platforms detected," his tactical officer reported. "Minimal power signatures. 6 patrol vessels, all outdated designs. No significant military presence." Thex bared his teeth in what his species considered a smile. "As expected. Humans are all talk and no strength. Prepare to broadcast surrender terms. Sir, we are detecting movement from the colony. They are evacuating population to underground shelters." "Let them hide," Thex said. "It will not save them. Charge all weapons. We will give them one chance to surrender. If they refuse, we destroy the platforms first, then the settlements." The communication officer opened a channel. Thex's image was transmitted to every screen on New Jeju. "Attention, human colonists. This is High Commander Thex of the Velkar Dominion. Your presence in this system is illegal. You have violated Galactic Council law. Surrender immediately, or face complete destruction. You have 10 minutes to comply." On New Jeju, Governor Park Min-jae stood in the Emergency Command Center. He was a former military officer who had retired to frontier life. Now he wished he had a real military force under his command. "What are our options?" "None," his security chief replied honestly. "Our platforms cannot damage their shields. Our patrol boats would be destroyed in seconds." Min-jae looked at the faces of his staff. Fear, but also determination. These people had come here to build something new. They would not surrender without a fight, even if that fight was hopeless. "Send our response. Tell Thex we do not recognize Velkar authority over this system. We will not surrender." "Sir, that is suicide." "Then we die free," Min-jae replied. The message was sent. On the Dominance, Thex received it with cold anger. "Foolish humans. They choose death. All ships advance to firing range. Target the defense platforms and primary settlements. On my command, open fire." The Velkar fleet moved forward. Weapons began to glow with building energy. The ship spread out into a standard bombardment formation. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Then reality broke. The air above the Dominance seemed to tear apart. Space itself bent and twisted. A massive shape materialized out of nothing, appearing in an instant where there had been empty space. It was enormous, larger than any ship in the Velkar fleet, dark and angular, covered in weapons, hovering directly above the flagship like a judge pronouncing sentence. Alarms screamed across the Dominance. "Contact! Contact!" Unknown vessel directly above us. How did it get there? Thex stared at the view screen in shock. The ship was human. He could tell from the design elements. But it was impossible. Humans did not have ships like this. Their vessels were crude, easy to detect. This thing had appeared out of nowhere, completely invisible until it chose to reveal itself. "All ships, evasive action." "Return fire!" Thex shouted. He was too slow. Lieutenant Park Sujin pressed her firing control. "Railgun 1, firing!" The Silent Thunder's main railgun discharged. A solid metal slug the size of a car accelerated to a fraction of light speed. It crossed the distance to the Dominance in less than a second. The Velkar shields flared bright, trying to stop it. They failed. The projectile punched through the shield like it was paper. It tore into the flagship's hull, ripping through 3 decks before exiting the other side. Explosive decompression threw crew members into space. Secondary explosions rippled through the ship. Thex was thrown from his command chair. He hit the floor hard, his armored scales barely protecting him. Around him, his bridge crew struggled to respond. Damage report! Hull breach on decks 7 through 9. Shield generators offline. Weapons Array 1 destroyed. How are they doing this? Thex roared. How did they find us? The Silent Thunder fired again. And again. Each railgun shot was precisely aimed, hitting shield generators, weapon systems, and engine clusters. The Dominance began to list to one side, bleeding atmosphere and burning. They are targeting our critical systems, the tactical officer screamed. They know exactly where to hit. The rest of the Velkar fleet tried to respond. 60 warships opened fire at once. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled the space where the Silent Thunder had been. But the human ship was no longer there. Target lost. Multiple Velkar ships reported. The human vessel has disappeared. On the Silent Thunder's bridge, Taeyang watched the tactical display calmly. Cloak engaged. Move us 3 kilometers starboard. Prepare for second attack run. The ship vanished from Velkar sensors. It repositioned in seconds, moving faster than the Velkar could track. Dr. Bora monitored her systems. Field stable. They cannot find us, Cloak, behind their formation, Taeyang ordered. Target their command ships. The Silent Thunder reappeared behind the Velkar fleet. 5 Velkar cruisers suddenly found a human dreadnought right behind them. All weapons locked and ready. Sujin fired before they could react. Railgun rounds tore through the cruisers. Missiles launched in rapid sequence, each one finding its target. The experimental plasma cannons fired for the first time in combat, sending superheated bolts that melted through armor like butter. Within 30 seconds, 3 cruisers were destroyed. The other 2 were crippled and drifting. Cloak us again, Taeyang said. Move to the next position. The Silent Thunder disappeared and reappeared across the battlefield like a ghost. It struck from above, from below, from angles the Velkar could not predict or defend. Every time the Velkar fleet concentrated fire on its position, the ship was already gone. Every time they tried to retreat to a defensive formation, the Silent Thunder appeared in their midst and tore them apart. Commander Daeho coordinated the attacks with brutal efficiency. Their communication network is centered on those 3 ships. If we take them out, the fleet will lose coordination. Sujin, you heard him, Taeyang said. Already targeting, she replied. Her fingers danced across her console, missiles away. The 3 Velkar communication ships never saw the attack coming. Missiles appeared out of empty space and slammed into their hulls. The ships exploded in brilliant flashes. Suddenly, the Velkar fleet could not talk to each other. Orders could not be transmitted. Ships acted independently, without coordination. Chaos spread through the enemy fleet. Some ships tried to run. Others fired blindly into space, hoping to hit the invisible enemy. A few tried to form defensive positions, but without communication, they could not coordinate properly. The Silent Thunder moved through them like a shark through fish. On the Dominance, Thex clutched his command chair as his ship shook from another impact. Half his systems were offline. Bodies littered his bridge. Through the view screen, he watched his fleet being systematically destroyed. 15 ships gone, 20. More burning and adrift. This was impossible. The humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to be primitive. How did they have technology that could do this? All ships retreat, he finally ordered. Full retreat. Get us out of here. The Velkar fleet scattered. Ships broke formation and fled in every direction. The Silent Thunder let them go. It had accomplished its mission. Taeyang watched them run on his tactical display. Cease fire. Let them leave. They will carry the message back to the council. The bridge crew relaxed slightly. Sujin checked her systems. We expended 40% of our ammunition. Minimal damage to our hull. 2 shield emitters offline but repairable. Casualty report? Taeyang asked. No casualties, Daeho reported. Minor injuries to 3 crew members. Nothing serious. Taeyang allowed himself a small smile. Bora, how is the invisibility field? Perfect, she replied. The field held through the entire battle. They never tracked us once we cloaked. Then we accomplished everything we came to do, Taeyang said. He opened a channel to New Jeju. Governor Minjae, this is Captain Han Taeyang of the Earth Defense Ship Silent Thunder. The Velkar fleet has been driven off. Your colony is safe. There was a long pause. Then Minjae's voice came through, filled with disbelief and relief.
Captain Taeyang, we did not know you were here.
We thought we were going to die. How did you arrive so quickly? We have been watching, Taeyang replied simply. Earth does not abandon its people. On New Jeju, people emerged from the shelters to see the Velkar fleet in full retreat. Some were damaged and burning. The space around the planet was littered with debris. But the colony stood untouched. Celebration erupted in the streets. In the command center, Minjae watched the tactical display with tears in his eyes. They came for us. They actually came. His security chief stared at the data. That ship, the Silent Thunder. It appeared out of nowhere. Our sensors never detected it until it decloaked. How is that possible? I do not know, Minjae said, but I am grateful for it. Aboard the Silent Thunder, Taeyang addressed his crew. Send a full report to Admiral Minho. Include all combat data and footage. The Council needs to see what happened here. They will see it anyway, Deho said. The Velkar will report their defeat. The entire galaxy will know within hours. Good, Taeyang replied. Let them know. Let every species that thought we were primitive see what humans can do when we are underestimated. The news spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. Within 6 hours, every major species knew about the battle at New Jeju. Within 12 hours, footage from Velkar sensors had been leaked to public networks. By the next day, the entire Galactic Council was in emergency session. Ambassador Lee Gina stood in the council chamber once again. But this time, the atmosphere was completely different. The representatives did not laugh or sneer. They stared at her with expressions ranging from shock to fear to barely concealed anger. Overseer Marith called the session to order. His voice was tense. Ambassador Gina, the council demands an explanation. The Velkar Dominion reports that an unknown human warship attacked their fleet without provocation. 15 ships were destroyed. Hundreds of Velkar personnel are dead. This is an act of war. Gina remained calm. She had prepared for this moment. The council's information is incorrect. I have the complete record of events. May I present it? Proceed, Marith said reluctantly. Gina activated the holographic display. The council chamber filled with images from the battle. But these were not from Velkar sensors. These were from the Silent Thunder itself. Crystal clear footage showed everything. The recording began with the Velkar fleet approaching New Jeju. Thex's broadcast was played for the entire council to hear. His threats, his demands. The council watched as Governor Minjae refused to surrender. They watched as the Velkar fleet prepared to fire on a civilian colony. Then they watched as the Silent Thunder appeared. The council chamber fell silent as the massive human dreadnought materialized out of empty space. They watched it fire with devastating precision. They watched it disappear and reappear at will. They watched the Velkar fleet, one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, break and run in terror. When the recording ended, no one spoke for a long moment. Finally, High Commander Thex stood. His scales were still scarred from the battle. His pride was more damaged than his body. This proves nothing. The humans attacked Velkar forces. That colony was illegal. We had every right to cleanse it. You had no right, Gina replied firmly. That system is unclaimed territory. The council denied our petition to colonize it. But you had no legal authority to attack our people. You threatened genocide, Commander. This recording proves it. The recording proves the humans have been hiding military technology. A council member from the Korath Federation interjected. Ships that can become invisible. Weapons that can pierce Velkar shields. How long have you been developing these weapons in secret? Long enough, Gina replied. She looked directly at Thex. You called us primitive. You laughed at our ships and our technology. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. Marith regained control of the session. Ambassador, the council requires full disclosure. How many ships like this do you possess? What other technology have you been hiding? Gina smiled slightly. This was the moment she had been waiting for. I am not authorized to disclose Earth's complete military capabilities. But I can tell you this. The Silent Thunder is not alone. Earth has invested significant resources into developing technology that the Council said was impossible. We did this because the council made it clear that words would never earn us respect. Only strength matters in this chamber. Are you threatening the council? Marth asked. I am stating facts, Gina replied, just as High Commander Thex stated facts when he threatened to destroy our colonies. The difference is that we can back up our words.
Can you?
A representative from the Syrian Alliance stood. She was a tall insectoid being with multifaceted eyes. The human is correct. We have all witnessed the Velkar make threats and carry them out. They have bullied smaller species for decades. Perhaps it is time they learned what it feels like to face a superior opponent. Superior? Thex roared. Humans are not superior. They have one ship with a trick. Your fleet will do nothing, Gina interrupted, because your fleet cannot find our ships. You cannot see them. You cannot track them. You can only die when they decide to reveal themselves. How does it feel, Commander? How does it feel to be helpless? Thex's scales flushed darker with rage. He took a step toward Gina. You dare— Enough, Marth commanded. High Commander, sit down. Ambassador, control yourself. This session will remain civil. Thex reluctantly returned to his seat. Gina remained standing, her expression calm. Another council member spoke. This one was from the Thalax Confederacy, a species known for their pragmatism. The situation is clear. The Velkar attacked a human colony without council approval. The humans defended themselves. Both sides have demonstrated significant military capability. The question now is how to proceed. We can either prepare for a war between humans and the Velkar Dominion, or we can find a peaceful resolution. There can be no peace with species that hide weapons and attack without warning, Thex said bitterly. You are describing your own actions. Commander, the Syrian representative pointed out. You attacked the human colony without warning. The humans simply responded more effectively than you expected. Debate erupted across the chamber. Some species sided with the Velkar, angry about human deception. Others saw an opportunity to check Velkar power. A few remained neutral, waiting to see which side would benefit them more. Gina let them argue for several minutes. Then she spoke loud enough to cut through the noise. The council can debate this for days, but while you debate, Earth is expanding. We are establishing new colonies. We are building new ships. We are claiming our place in the galaxy with or without council permission. That is unacceptable, Marth said. Then make it acceptable, Gina replied. Recognize Earth's right to exist as an equal power. Grant us the same territorial rights and trade benefits that other council species enjoy. Stop treating us like children who need permission for everything. Do this and we will share some of our technology with the council. Refuse and we will continue to act independently. You cannot simply demand equality, a council member protested. We are not demanding, Gina said calmly. We are offering a choice. Work with us or watch us pass you by. The council called us primitive. We proved you wrong. Now you must decide if you want us as partners or rivals. Marth looked deeply uncomfortable. The council will need time to consider your proposal. Take all the time you need, Gina replied. But understand this. Every day you delay, humanity grows stronger. The Silent Thunder proved that we can build technology you did not think possible. What else might we be capable of? Do you really want to find out through conflict rather than cooperation? The chamber fell silent again. Species that had mocked Earth now looked at the human ambassador with new eyes. Fear, respect, and calculation mixed in their expressions. Finally, Thex stood once more. His voice was quieter now. Defeated? The Velkar Dominion withdraws its complaints against humanity. We acknowledge that our attack on New Jeju was premature. We request a formal peace treaty with Earth. Gina looked at him for a long moment. The proud commander who had threatened to turn her people's worlds to ash was now asking for peace. Earth accepts the Velkar's request. We will negotiate terms. Marth seemed relieved to have at least one issue resolved. The council will vote on Earth's proposal for full membership rights. All species prepare your positions. We will reconvene in 3 days. The session ended. Representatives filed out of the chamber, talking urgently among themselves. Gina remained in place watching them go. She felt exhausted but satisfied. The battle had been won in space. Now the war was being won here in politics. A message came through on her personal device. It was from Admiral Minho. Well done, Ambassador. The council is afraid. Fear brings respect. How do you think they will vote? Gina typed her reply. They will vote in our favor. They have no choice. We proved we can hurt them. Now we need to prove we can help them. The technology sharing will be crucial. Dr. Bora is prepared, Minho responded. She will give them enough to keep them interested, but not enough to replicate our best systems. They will remain dependent on our goodwill. Perfect, Gina wrote back. 3 days until the vote. Then humanity takes its place as an equal power. She left the council chamber and returned to her quarters. Through the window, she could see ships from dozens of species docked at the station. Once they had looked down on humanity. Now they looked at her people with wariness and respect. Gina thought about Captain Taeyang and the crew of the Silent Thunder. They had risked everything in that battle. They had proven that humans were not primitive. They were innovators. They were warriors. They were survivors. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for the last time. 3 days from now, the vote would make it official. But the real victory had already been won. Earth stood as an equal among the stars, and somewhere in the darkness of space, invisible and watching, the Silent Thunder continued its patrol. A reminder to anyone who might forget that humanity's strength lay not in what could be seen, but in what remained hidden until the moment it was needed most. 6 months after the Battle of New Jeju, Earth looked very different. New shipyards orbited the planet, building vessels that would have seemed impossible a year ago. Trade convoys moved freely through council space, no longer harassed or delayed. Human colonies spread across a dozen star systems, each one growing and thriving. Captain Han Taeyang stood in a massive auditorium on Earth, uncomfortable in his formal uniform. Thousands of people filled the seats, all of them cheering. Admiral Minho stood at a podium, giving a speech about courage and sacrifice. Taeyang wished he could disappear, but the invisibility field did not work on individual people. Captain Taeyang and the crew of the Silent Thunder showed the galaxy what humanity is capable of, Minho said to the roaring crowd. They risked everything to protect our people. They proved that we belong among the stars. The crowd stood and applauded. Taeyang managed a small smile and a wave. Beside him, Commander Daeho looked equally uncomfortable with the attention. Lieutenant Sujin seemed to enjoy it more, waving enthusiastically to the crowd. After the ceremony, Taeyang found Minho in a quiet corridor. Sir, with respect, I did my job. My crew did their jobs. We do not need parades, Minho smiled. The people need heroes, Captain. They need to believe that humanity can stand tall in the galaxy. You gave them that belief. Accept the gratitude. I would rather be back on patrol, Taeyang admitted. Soon, Minho promised. But first, there is something you need to see. He led Taeyang to a secure facility outside the city. Inside, Dr. Kang Bora was waiting. She looked tired but excited. Captain, you are just in time. Come with me. They walked through clean white corridors to a massive observation deck. Through the transparent wall, Taeyang could see a construction bay. Inside that bay floated 3 ships. They were similar to the Silent Thunder but smaller and sleeker. Different designs for different purposes. We learned so much from the Silent Thunder, Bora explained. Now we are building the next generation. Stealth frigates for reconnaissance. Stealth cruisers for rapid strike missions. Each one will be invisible like your ship. Within 2 years, Earth will have a full stealth fleet. The Council agreed to this? Taeyang asked. The Council voted to grant Earth full membership rights 3 days after your battle, Minho said. Part of that agreement includes our right to maintain our own military without Council oversight. They cannot tell us what ships to build or not build. Bora pulled up a holographic display. They also agreed to a technology exchange. I have been teaching Council scientists the basic principles of the invisibility field, enough that they understand it is possible, but not enough that they can replicate our most advanced systems. Will they eventually figure it out? Taeyang asked. Probably, Bora admitted. But by then we will be several generations ahead. We are not standing still. Every day we improve the technology. Every day we build something new. The Council called us primitive, Minho said quietly. They thought we were children playing with tools we did not understand. They were wrong. Humans have always been survivors. We adapt, we innovate, we overcome. That is our true strength. Taeyang looked out at the 3 new ships being constructed. What happens when other species develop similar technology? When everyone has stealth ships? Then we will have developed something even better, Bora said with confidence. That is what we do. We stay ahead. Later that day, Taeyang met with his crew at a quiet restaurant. Daeho, Sujin, and Bora sat around a table enjoying food and conversation. They talked about the battle, About the changes in the galaxy, about their plans for the future. The Velkar are being much more polite now, Sujin said with a grin. I saw a news report. High Commander Thex was stripped of his rank and exiled. The Velkar government sent a formal apology to Earth. Can you believe it? They respect strength, Deho said. We showed them strength. Now they respect us. Do you think the peace will last? Sujin asked. For a while, Taeyang replied. But there will always be another threat. Another species that thinks they can push humanity around. Another crisis that needs to be resolved. Our work is not finished. Good, Sujin said. I joined the military to make a difference. I want to keep making that difference, Bora raised her glass. To the silent thunder. To her crew. To humanity's future among the stars. They drank together, friends who had faced death and survived. They had changed the galaxy together. 3 weeks later, Ambassador Lee Gina stood before the Galactic Council one final time, before returning to Earth. The chamber was full, but the atmosphere was respectful. Representatives listened when she spoke. Some even asked for her opinion on various matters. Earth thanks the Council for this opportunity, Gina said. We have been granted full membership rights. Our colonies are recognized. Our trade routes are protected. This is what we asked for from the beginning. It should not have required a battle to achieve it. Overseer Marith nodded. The Council acknowledges that humanity was treated unfairly. We allowed prejudice to cloud our judgment. We saw your differences and called you primitive. We were wrong. You were, Gina agreed. But you learned. The galaxy is changing. New species will continue to join the Council. How will you treat them? Will you judge them fairly? Or will you make the same mistakes you made with us? We will try to do better, Marith said. You have taught us a valuable lesson, Ambassador. Never underestimate a species based on appearances. And never assume that silence means weakness, Gina added. Humans were quiet while we built our strength. Other species may be doing the same. The wise approach is cooperation, not domination. A council member from the Thalax Confederacy stood. Ambassador Gina, before you return to Earth, I have a question. How many stealth ships does humanity truly possess? Gina smiled mysteriously. Enough. That is not an answer, the Thalax representative said. It is the only answer you will receive, Gina replied. Humanity learned that transparency invites exploitation. Some secrets are necessary for survival. The Council will simply have to trust that we will use our capabilities responsibly. And if we do not trust you? Another representative asked. Then you will worry, Gina said simply. And that worry will keep you honest. Fear of the unknown is a powerful motivator for peace. The session ended with formal goodbyes. Gina left the council chamber for the last time as a petitioner. Next time she returned, it would be as a full member, equal to any other species. On the journey back to Earth, she recorded a message for Admiral Minho. Mission accomplished. Earth is recognized as a full council member. Trade rights secured. Military sovereignty confirmed. The Velkar have signed a peace treaty. Other species are requesting diplomatic relationships. We won, Admiral. We really won. Meanwhile, in the darkness of space beyond charted territory, the silent thunder moved silently through the void. Captain Taiyang stood on the bridge watching the stars. The ship was on patrol watching over human space, ready to respond to any threat. Captain, Deho said from his station, we are detecting unusual activity in Sector 7. Unknown ships, possibly scouts. How many? Taeyang asked. 3, maybe 4. They are trying to avoid detection, but our sensors picked them up. Do they know we are here? No, sir. We are invisible to their scans. Taeyang considered his options. These could be pirates, explorers, or advance forces from another hostile species. The galaxy was large, and humanity had only met a fraction of its inhabitants. New threats would always emerge. Move us closer, he ordered. Let us see who they are. But stay cloaked. If they are hostile, they should not see us coming. The silent thunder adjusted course. It slipped through space like a ghost, invisible and silent. On the bridge, the crew worked with practiced efficiency. They had done this before. They would do it again. Sujin monitored her weapons. All systems ready, Captain. Just say the word. Hold fire unless they prove hostile, Taiyang replied. We are watchers, not aggressors. But if they threaten human territory, we will remind them what happens to those who underestimate us. Deho looked at his tactical display. Captain, those ships. They are broadcasting on council frequencies. I think they are a science expedition. Confirmed, the communications officer reported. They are from the Korath Federation, studying stellar phenomena. No weapons detected. Taeyang relaxed slightly. Move us away. Let them continue their work. We have no reason to reveal ourselves. The Silent Thunder changed course, leaving the science expedition behind. The Korath scientists never knew how close they had come to encountering humanity's most powerful weapon. They continued their research in peace. Hours later, Daeho stood beside Taeyang as they watched the stars. Do you think the council really learned its lesson? Daeho asked. Some of them did, Taeyang replied. Others will need more convincing. There will always be species that think they are superior. Pride is universal, so we will keep watching. We will keep watching, Taeyang confirmed. That is our purpose. The galaxy sees us as an equal power now, but they do not see everything. The Silent Thunder and her sister ships will remain hidden, protecting humanity from threats that others cannot even detect. Until we are needed again. Until we are needed again, Taeyang agreed. He looked out at the infinite darkness. Somewhere out there, other species were plotting, building, preparing. Some would be friends. Others would be enemies.